what will be your top 3 priority agenda as a young person?
Infrastructure.
Okay.
And infrastructure is very wide. And I said infrastructure because it cuts across education.
Hi, I am Fehemba. Welcome to the Purple Diaries, the Policy Innovation Center's podcast series that takes a deep dive into the conversations and dialogues that we had at the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025. Through the course of this podcast, we'll be sitting down with incredible individuals, people who are impacting the world and changing the way that we see it. Now, let's take a deep dive into this conversation. So ensure to subscribe, like, share, and comment. It's such an honor to have you here. So let's go into the first thing. First things first. How differently would you think government can address job scarcity among young people and make the country attractive enough for them?
That's a very interesting question. And I'm sure that a lot of young people want answers. Yes.
They do.
So I think the first thing that I would say is that the government is rolling out a lot of training programs, right? And I think it's necessary to acknowledge that. But I would say that as much as training is necessary to increase employability, the job doesn't end there.
Okay.
And the government needs to create an entire pipeline that not just gets people trained, but gets people jobs that provides them sustainable livelihoods. If you think about it like a sales funnel, when you want someone to buy your product, you don't just stop at turning them from cold leads to warm leads. They have to end somewhere, which is what buying a product. So at the end of the day, what people are looking for to even consider going through a training is that they use that training to earn a living, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's through entrepreneurship or through 9 to 5, whatever it is, they want products. They want to offer a product or service in exchange for, money that they can use to take care of their basic needs. Yes. So I'd say that, creating an entire pipeline is one.
Yeah.
Secondly, creating an enabling environment for businesses so that they can accommodate more people.
Yeah.
Yes. It is difficult for organizations to employ people when they have to cut overhead costs.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
It's difficult when they're not selling goods, and so they're wondering, why do we need more people? Right? And that is something that the government also needs to look into. How can we ensure that the business environment is more enabling for businesses so that, they are... I mean, one thing that I know it's a progressive policy is the new tax law, which is coming out next year, that is relieving small businesses and businesses below a particular income threshold from paying taxes, which is a very good move. I would say that in a way that would enable businesses to channel that revenue into, outsourcing their services to make more revenue, and into putting in different operational structures. And of course, that job has to go to somebody, right? And by the time, businesses are able to channel that money into things that helps them to buy back their time, they're able to improve outputs, increase, their business operations, and channel it somewhere else as well. So it's a full cycle. Government allows businesses to do more. The businesses are able to push more and accommodate more hands to do the job. Something else that I believe the government needs to do more is improving our educational system.
Yes.
I was having a conversation with a fellow youth corps member in a different state, and she was talking about how children are not motivated to go to school or concentrate in classrooms because the curriculums are very outdated. Textbooks that she didn't even use in secondary schools are still being shared by the states. And that is very questionable. It raises concern because when we think about the revolution of China, you know, it didn't just start with a dream. Between a specific time, they had a goal to revolutionize their economy, and they took specific actions to achieve that. And I think that if we want to model after best practices, we cannot leave education behind.
Sure.
We need to start rethinking how teachers are being trained, the kind of curriculums that we are meeting out to students. Imagine if a lecturer walks into the classroom on the first day of class and tells you that, oh, this lecture note I'm using was what I wrote back in 1972. I mean, what would that kind of mindset, what kind of mindset would you have from such class? You would lose interest in listening. And, that is where it starts from.
Sure.
People give up on the system because they feel like there are so many barriers to, accessing accurate information. So they do a lot of self-learning. They have to look for information outside. Why are we not providing that information in-house first? We talk about everybody is going to import from China, is exporting, doing all sorts of things. Everybody is Japan. We see that even with how hard Nigeria economy is, the rate at which immigration is going on, it will shock you. Like the numbers are increasing every year, and it's all because young people want to make a good living, and they want to help their families.
Sure.
So let us create an environment for them. They don't go because when we think about it, a lot of people end up separating from their families for years. They suffer depression and loneliness because of the kind of environments that they have abroad, the culture shock. And so people leave families behind, not because they really want to, but because they just have to get things done.
Yeah.
So job scarcity, enabling environment for businesses, creating an entire economic opportunity pipeline, and changing the educational system.
Yes.
Then I would say that also embracing young people to influence the activities of government can help.
Like more young voices,
Yes.
should be.
So I know that there are youth boards here and there, but in a way, those youth boards are more ceremonial than operational. And it's worrying because you are pushing hard against a wall. If you were hitting against the door, at least they can hear it from the other side.
Yeah.
And because the people that you're hitting against are so bent on having things done a particular way, and they don't want change. Change management is not something that people embrace easily. And so it's hard to get across to the other side and to understand structures of government stakeholders and to work with them, because there is just a wall in between. So embracing people to take part, understand government structures, and to also participate in them would really, really help.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Now, on to the next. So, for young people in underserved communities, access to opportunities is a major barrier to development. What strategies would you recommend to democratize access at rural communities and foster economic mobility for them?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Recently, when I wrote a paper on digital governance and feminism, something that I discovered was that the digital divide is costing LMICs, that's low and middle income countries, close to $120 billion annually. It means that as long as we continue to leave people in underserved communities behind, we are leaving a lot of money on the table. And so it raises the question of how can we get to them? Something that I always think about is when we are creating solutions and we claim to want to reach the underserved, are we really reaching them, or are we capturing the same set of people? Talk, think about financial inclusion, for instance. We say, oh, we are creating fintech platforms that is to increase financial inclusion, right? But at the end of the day, you reach out to a malam selling vegetable and they've never heard about your platform. Thanks to those like the likes of OP and Money Points, those people are doing wonders. You see how even with just your phone number, you can have a bank account, creating a financial identity, their first financial identity, and it is to also speak to other areas that we need to approach, you know, program design with human-centered, thinking. We cannot create a solution for underserved people without them. Because at the end of the day, we want to harness the resources that are already available to them for their benefits. Because if you're just bringing a program for 3 months, at the end of 3 months, they're back to their reality. But if you do a program with them and you leave the program with them, there's community ownership and there is the sense of responsibility to keep going and to, leverage the resources at their disposal to keep it going, Talking about indigenous systems, when we talk about, climate change or climate resilience, for instance, we see how there is advocacy for ensuring that we are not just bringing new technology to women, in those rural communities, but helping them to leverage their indigenous systems of maybe managing food waste or managing erosion and all of those things. In the same way, we need to leverage local partnerships, engage community actors, work with grassroots organizations, and even hear the people that we're trying to serve out. And embrace all of these things, incorporate it into your program design. Secondly, I would say that creating hubs for learning and infrastructure hubs that can help them to access, because at the end of the day, the problem is that there is not enough awareness to even turn to access, right? And that was one of the things that influenced our location for our first youth economic mobility workshop. So we thought that, why Lagos? Lagos already has the events and the people and the companies. Let's take it somewhere. And that was when we took our STEP program to Ogbomoso, and we had a lot. We even did a needs assessments before. There were different universities, and so in Ogbomoso had the highest responses, and so we took it there. We saw how excited these people were to, encounter different sectors. We brought about 6 different sectors to them, and some people were hearing about clean energy and the opportunity to clean energy for the first time. And you'll be surprised that everybody's talking clean energy. So much money is being pumped into clean energy. Conferences are going on every year, sometimes multiple in a month on clean energy. Yet people don't even know the opportunities that exist in clean energy. And so these are the things that we live for, creating awareness that turn into access. So now that they have heard about it, they're able to know platforms that they can check for opportunities. They're able to reach out to people that are experts in these fields, and take advantage of opportunities that are available to them. And I would say that something else is, I think, because the environment is not enabling for businesses in some of these other states, they're focused on Lagos, Abuja, and that's where you have a lot of headquarters. And so if people want to work, they're saying, we have to go to Lagos, or we have to go to... Thank God for remote opportunities now that allow people to, work across, even without leaving their rooms. But even the remote opportunities, for those people that don't have laptops or smartphones, So we need to extend the commercial. We shouldn't just pride ourselves in being a commercial city, but let that reflect on states close to us. Let that roll over in some way into other states so that we are not the only ones. They say it's lonely at the top. We are not the only ones,
Yeah.
enjoying the investment and the opportunities that are available for young people. Yeah, so even after I leave here, is something that we definitely have to think about. That how can we ensure that we are providing access to the underserved, so that we can fast track social integration, and we ensure that they are not forced to choose an option they don't want to choose. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. I like the fact that you have skin in the game, you have boots on the ground, and you have first-hand experience with all of this. And you are speaking from that, it's that's so beautiful. Okay, so the next question here, it says, if you were to build a Nigerian dream, what will be your top 3 priority agenda as a young person?
Okay, so in terms of priority, I would say first, infrastructure.
Okay.
And infrastructure is very wide. And I said infrastructure because it cuts across education, cuts across health, it cuts across, employment opportunities,
Yeah.
a lot of things, industrialization and the likes. And if we think about infrastructure as a capital, something that is spend money to make money, then there is more intentionality in how we are channeling funds for that.
Yes.
I think it's a conversation that we've been having too long for now, that we have a very huge amount of budget and it's just a very small chunk that goes to education, for instance, or that goes to health infrastructure. And I attended a conference recently and the panel of discussion was on how to make Lagos a destination for health tourism. And I wouldn't say Lagos is doing badly in terms of health, but there's still so much that can be done.
Yeah.
Because we know the kind of treatment or how much delay happens in hospitals. But talking about Nigeria as a whole now, it's more than Lagos. There are 37, plus including FCT, there are 37 other states that we should be focusing on. If truly infrastructure is the same everywhere, then we wouldn't have youth corpers running away from Borno or running away from, Akwa Ibom, or running away from just to be posted in Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt.
Sure.
They will be satisfied to serve their fatherland wherever they are,
Okay.
because the opportunities are there. So infrastructure is very important.
Yeah.
And the second thing I would say is, apart from infrastructure, I'd say environmental health. Prioritizing the environment, cleanliness. Something I think about when I parade Lagos roads every day is that if I were to be president for one day,
Yeah.
I'm going to incorporate punitive measures for throwing trash on the ground or public urination.
Yeah.
I think those two things are very abhorrent, for lack of a better word. Lagos is, imagine going to hustle in the morning and you immediately leave your house, you're hit with the smell of, still urine, or you see trash everywhere, flooded systems and the likes. And then it doesn't really make the environment, it doesn't give that, necessary vibe that you need to,
It's not a conducive environment for productivity.
conducive.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, talking about cleanliness, Lagos needs proper cleanup. Like proper cleanup. This is not just about Lagos now. Even in Abuja, as clean as cute as Abuja is, there are some places you go to in Abuja and you'd be like, wait, is this really the Abuja that we know?
Yeah.
Or is there somewhere we're not seeing?
Okay.
And this is the same, across board. People are very lackadaisical,
Okay.
and they just it's a norm. Just finish corn cob, throw it on the ground. Drink Pepsi, trash it on the ground, and then when I see them, I'm like, why do you have to do that? So those two things, public urination and
Okay.
environmental concerns. Then the
All
last
right.
one is regarding. So I mentioned infrastructure.
Yeah.
I mentioned environmental concerns.
Yeah.
The last one is about democracy and accountability in government.
Yeah.
I would say that for one, there are some ministries that are really doing great work,
Yeah.
but because there is not enough, the way we do in non-profit space, that when they give you money, you have to report the $1 that you spend. I don't see that level of accountability in government.
Yeah.
They don't report that level of at that level of scrutiny. So even when they do so much, because they don't report,
Yeah.
people still clamor for people still clamor that government is not doing anything because there's no reference to look at.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's some ministries that are not doing enough.
Yeah.
So I'd say that if there was really this centralized system
Yeah.
where people can easily access everybody, we have an open what's it called, data system that people can see. I know we have the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics that publishes reports, but that is not even a chunk of it.
Very true, very
Yes.
true. Yeah, thank you so much, Funmilayo. We're sadly out of time, but thank you for all the conversation you have. It was an honor having you on the Purple Diaries. Looking forward to seeing you
Thank you so
again.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.